Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I feel like there's been a buildup of energy in my space to put out my next video. And thanks to the team, Conxcious Productions team, and just like everyone who's a part of this, we have our next guest who is one of the artists that Conxcious Productions I manage. And she's here with us. We're going to talk to her a little bit about why she does the things she does, why she wants to share her gifts the way she wants to, and what about it that really hits home for her. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you, would you like to introduce yourself?
DJ Tempeh.
Woohoo! DJ Tempeh. Okay, beautiful. Thanks so much for being willing to be a part of all of this and have this beautiful scenery behind us and like the team in the back there. Thank you, Michelle. So we're gonna just go in. So Conxcious Productions, just to let y'all know why we're doing this, is because I wanted to let people know and hold space for people to speak their authentic truth as they share their gifts. So that's really important to me, and especially as like an artist manager, to do things in a conscious way, to support artists in an ethical way and in a way where we're uplifting humanity at the same time. So yeah, that's why I wanted to get you on here. So thank you for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit about you? Like, who are you? Like, people want to know, like, who are you?
So I'm born and raised in Toronto.
Woo!
And oh my god. So I've loved like music. Everyone loves music, but like I've loved music and dancing for a really long time, just for fun. Like that's my self-care.
So when did you start liking music like that?
Probably like whenever my mom would play her cassettes like in the car.
Okay.
Whenever my mom would play her cassettes in the car and we would like vibe to it.
Okay. What kind of music was she playing at the time?
She was playing, she really loves jazz.
Okay.
She really loves Sam Cooke, who's like an icon. She loves Sam Cooke.
Dude, I fucking love Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
I fell in love. How did I fall in love? I was on a dragon boat team at Ryerson, and I was driving once, and to my next regatta, which is like a competition, and the guy who was with us, he's like, oh, like Sam Cooke, and I'm like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
So I googled him, and I fell in love.
Yeah.
I fell in love. I could see why.
Yeah, and like he makes hits and people sample his stuff now, like in rap songs. You'll notice like you remember, and then like he's the OG of all of these songs that we know the words to, but he has like his original version, so that was big. So listen to music in the car, just music like as a kid. But then I had this friend named Anthony who was like really into DJing as early as grade 8. I had grade 8 with him. That's when I met him, and he was just going hard, self-taught.
Grade 8.
Yes.
In grade 8.
Practicing.
Wow.
Blasting. Like when I would come into the apartment complex area where all like my friends used to chill, he would have the windows open and be blasting the music, and he'd be like kind of DJing for the neighborhood.
That's so cool.
And I was like, please teach me. And he was like, yeah, one day, I'm just really busy. And I kept bugging him, and and he like blew up after high school. He's doing really well, and he was just so busy and traveling so much that like he couldn't give me a type of internship that I wanted. So I was like, okay, putting that on hold. I went to fashion school at George Brown. I got heavily into like event planning.
Fashion.
Yeah.
So how did you get into that?
I've always wanted to be a fashion designer since I was a kid. I was always like illustrating clothes and thinking of like weird clothing combinations. And
Don't you think it's so interesting that how like different parts of our being have different talents that we want to share?
Yeah.
Like it's so cool. Like we're here talking about your music, but like this other like same energy but different trade, different art.
Yeah.
That's coming through you. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Like what universal fashion?
Fashion was more like, this is what I want to do. I never changed my mind. I never wavered since a kid. It's been the same thing. Like I want to be a fashion designer. DJing was more so like, this is so much fun. I want to do it for completely selfish reasons. For me, it makes me happy.
Wow.
Not as a career and not long term. And so I went to fashion school. I put like 3 years into that, and then 2 years after, I was going really hard planning fashion shows, and I had this like aha moment when I realized that I needed to be a DJ, but I needed to be an Afro DJ.
Okay, pause. What was the aha moment? You have to
Okay.
go in that moment.
It was so weird. It was like a sign from heaven or the universe. Like, I swear to God, it was like it like hit me in the chest. So I helped plan a fashion show, and it was like a variety of Toronto designers. One of the designers was this African designer, and his clothing line was called Yesu Clothing. And there's this moment where a model walked down the runway slowly with so much confidence, and the song that was playing was Sanko by Tamaya, and it's just like very tropical, extra, very like fun, very like Afrobeat song. And I'd never understood or been introduced to Afrobeats before that. Like, I didn't know what it was. I think I misunderstood and thought it was dance hall or something. And
Wow, that's so interesting.
yeah, because I really had no knowledge, no education. And the way the model was walking along to the music, it just took me to another universe. I was like, what is that? And I went up to the DJ and I was like, what is that? He's like, oh, that's Afrobeats. You don't know Tamaya? I'm like, no. And then I was like, can you teach me how to DJ? This is my friend Mo, also known as DJ Primetime Entertainment. He's like,
Shout
yeah, shout out to Primetime. He was like, yeah, for sure. And he lived in Scarborough, and for like the entire summer, I would commute twice a week, an hour and a half, all the way to Scarborough, just to practice and learn in his basement.
What? Pause. We need to just take in the dedication here.
Yeah.
Like, once an opportunity shows up for us, it's the aha moments. It's the time. It's not necessarily the struggle, but it's the time that we're taking and giving life to whatever we're giving life to. So that right there is so beautiful, because you knew, like somewhere in your body, you knew that this was the decision.
Yeah.
And that is making me. I feel it. In
Yeah,
you.
it was so exciting.
Yeah, I
It's like,
feel it.
It's like you found a four-leaf clover you thought you'd never find.
Oh.
And the fact that Mo was like, for sure, like, you don't even have to pay me, just come through, I'll teach you. Then he started teaching a friend of mine that I became friends with through learning at his basement. Her name is DJ Juicy.
Woo!
And also known as Cece. And he was like really about this, like, you guys are female DJs, I really want to support you, and I really want you to know that, like, you can take up space here, you know? And it was so dope. I was just like so grateful, and I always like, I need to mention him anytime someone asks me about my DJ journey, because what kind of kindness is that? Like, that time, that energy, he could have been, you know, all the, like, not charging us, knowing that, like, financially I could not afford it at that time, and just teaching us so much, and then, like, letting us fly, and now she's doing amazing things. She has gigs every week. I'm out here doing my own thing, and, like, we got to customize our careers. So she's really big on, like,
What do you mean customize?
so we have different genres. Like, she knows trap like the back of her hand, and she's always on point with whatever came out this week.
Okay.
And then for me, like, I'm
Afro
really
trap?
no, just trap.
Oh, just trap.
Yeah. And for me, I was really into the African stuff, and I like heavily started researching it. I Wikipedia Afro beats, and then it's like every song that was mentioned on the Wikipedia, I downloaded it.
Yes.
And yeah, so it was just
That's
like
powerful,
that. It
because
was
that's the
crazy.
links, right? Because that's showing you, like, because it's being recognized somewhere, and just the dedication. I'm really at awe at the dedication right now, because when you know something so sure in you, in us, like, we'll go the links, and we won't even know it as work. We'll just be like, I need to be there, I need to know this, and I need to feel this.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little about, like, when you were back in that fashion show, and you said it took you to another universe? Can you explain the feeling in your body?
It was kind of like all of the flavors of a meal coming together so perfectly. It's like not just the way the model was walking, but like the look in his eyes, he was so confident, and then that it was like an African-owned brand, and that designer must have told the DJ, like, play this Afrobeat song. This is from my country, and I want to represent. And then like me, not even knowing the right genre, but like it made me feel something, and then being like, I need to research this. I don't even know the name for this, but I need to know what it is. And then like, but running up to the DJ and like totally bothering him and being like, can you mentor me? And like, I was kind of shocked that he said yes. And I was like, just so you know, I don't have money. But like, to get a yes, like when you really want something, all in like the same time, like within the same time frame, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know, I think when you get a lot of no's, you really appreciate a good yes.
Wow.
And it was yes at the perfect time, because I had the free time to go learn with him, and I had the energy to put in twice a week.
Wow.
And
everything's aligned.
It was perfect.
So before that, like just rewind a little bit, like were you thinking at all about DJing? Like was it lingering in the back of your consciousness at all?
Yeah, because I was bugging my friend about it.
Okay, yeah.
For years I was bugging him all through high school.
You're still talking to Anthony and saying, hey, like let's do this. Like, can we do this?
Well, what I would do is once a year I would hit him up. It was like deep in my subconscious.
Okay.
But like once a year, I gave him like his space, and also I was so devoted to fashion design.
Yeah.
I had my own life going on. Like we were friends at that
Yeah.
time. You know, I was running around the place and having so many different interests. So it would just be like once a year, and then if I got like a maybe, I didn't want to push it. I'm like, okay, I'll return to this when I have the time and I'm ready. And then like a year would pass. So I think like once a year I'd give him a little nudge, but he was like understandably busy.
Yeah.
And I realized like it was all falling into place. I think I needed, because his background is not Afrobeats, I needed someone like Prime Time who knew Afrobeats and like the origin, like he could tell you the origin of things.
What's his background?
Mali.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think that's so powerful. The reason why I asked is because our consciousness is very powerful, right? So I mean, it's how we maneuver. So the reason why I asked the question I did is because you were prepping yourselves, literally, energetically, you were prepping yourselves to allow this to align, but you weren't forcing it.
No.
You weren't like, this needs to happen with this person. You were just like, yo, like and you were watering the seeds. Every time you were watering it, and then it aligned where your heart knew that this individual, Prime Time, was the being, and so you reached out, and then that's how it all rippled. So that was really beautiful. And like the pressure, not necessarily it takes years to do things, but it's more of like less pressure and more desire. Yeah, that was really good. Okay, beautiful. I thank you so much for sharing that. A little side story. She was talking about how I knew her in fashion design. Funny enough, and she was doing a few different things. She actually did a podcast on me at the time. It's so funny. And now we're here.
I know.
360.
It was weird, and like the room that we did a podcast in was 7-Eleven, and that number 7-Eleven was following me around.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
And then it was following you too.
Yeah.
I don't know what it had to do with you, but you're like, it resonates with me too. And I just, that whole summer, I just kept seeing 7-Eleven.
Wow.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9. So 9 is ending of cycles. So 9 is like things are closing and things are new, things are opening. So everything that's like needing to like finish and end off was ending off. So new fires can start.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because like it's being lit. Like even old things, people, opportunities. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so do you remember where we were? Because I can ask you another question in regard to like you and GC were like on two different
genres.
Yeah, genres. And then how did you? So you started downloading all these different tracks, and then what? What happened from there?
So then I really took whatever gig I could get. Like it was not paying, but I was going to school at York University. I still am going into my final year. And I was part of this student association that would sell fair trade coffee, and you came to our Halloween bake sale. And I'm like, okay, all I need is my laptop, some speakers, let me play the music.
Yeah.
And so I considered that a gig, and it was really just us selling Oreos and like me playing music on my laptop. But then when I spoke to people, I was like, yeah, I DJ'd for this student association. And you know, like you kind of have to give yourself your first few gigs.
Did you hear what she just said? That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because even though in your mind you're like, was like, oh, I have a gig. There's a certain concept, a certain vision that you say, I have a gig. But you literally reconstructed that because you did have a gig.
Exactly.
You took time to set up the playlist. I remember you saying that to me. You set up speakers. That's all time, you know, and all of that. You created a space for yourself. One, two. You had the intention of, I can actually carve this experience out as part of my
resume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful. Okay,
and then back to like women uplifting each other and just that circle of like me, Primetime, and Juicy. Juicy hits me up and she's like, I got this deal DJing at this Scarborough sports bar. I want to give you a time slot. Just one night, let's see how it goes. And like that selflessness again, no one asked her to do that. She didn't need to do that. And I commuted all the way to Scarborough. I was living on York campus at that time. I went to the sports bar. I made a lot of mistakes. I was awkward. I was very underdressed. Like, she is glamorous and beautiful, and she had these two hype girls that were dancing for her, like, along to the music. And I think I had like a turtleneck and like jeans or kind of what I'm wearing right now. And I had my head wrap, and I was very like in
like you felt awkward, like out of place.
I was like, you know what? I should have been more glam for this. Like, this is my, you know, I should be over the top. Like, why am I trying to be so subdued and like a wallflower?
So I have a question. Like, did you have the concept of what a DJ should look like? Like, was like in like part of the process? Like, you were like, okay, I should feel X, or was it like what I'm wearing didn't feel how I wanted to play? Like,
what I'm wearing didn't feel how I wanted to play.
Okay.
And so I was playing Afro beats, but my blending was like scratchy and awkward, and like I had to read the demographic. The demographic wanted dance hall and 90s R&B.
Okay.
It was like 30 plus and a very like Caribbean demographic, and they want like the songs they grew up with.
Yeah.
And Juicy just had that gift where she could read that and she could melt that with whatever's popping right now and what this 30 plus crowd wants.
Wow.
And I was just like playing these really cool Afro beats that I like, but like I remember one time I turned around and my headphones dislodged from the controller, and I was just like, okay, put it back in. It was a flop, and that's another important thing. You need to flop. You need to have an awkward moment. You need to be so embarrassed. You need to be like, I did not read the room.
Yeah.
I did not do my research, and I needed that experience. I don't think that I would be as confident as I am, and I would be able to troubleshoot when I have tech problems if I didn't have that awkward, embarrassing first time. Yeah.
I think that's the beauty that I also love, like holding space for people to know. Being okay with being a beginner.
Yeah.
Being okay with being a beginner, no matter what it is. If like for me it was, if I had like one person in my class, like when I was in a studio and I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have one person in my class, or what if there's no one in my class?
Yeah.
And like in the studio that matters, right? So I was really afraid, but every time there's like this dedication with working with your craft, and so you are being comfortable being new at something and humbling yourself in that moment. So all those things needed to happen, like you said. That's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
And I want to tell people, like, whatever you're starting, even if it's like cooking and you want to be a chef, have that moment where you burn something and just like feel that embarrassment.
Wow.
Just feel that embarrassment, because it makes you fearless for trying other new skills. Because you're like, okay, if I flop, like I know what it feels like to flop. I just get back up.
And you know what it feels like to not make the food in that way, so you'll not try to do that, right?
Exactly.
So I'm going to give you an example. A friend of mine, she's from New Orleans, and we were having this conversation about making native dishes. I had a huge fear of making Indian food because I felt like I would fuck it up, because we have such aromas, different spices that you have to know how to heat and cook and mix. And so she was talking to me how she was afraid to make gumbo, which is like, you know, her native dish. And I'm like, yo, fuck it up. Like,
Yeah,
literally,
mess it
I'm not joking, fuck
Mess
it
it
up.
up.
Because that's gonna show you what not to do, and stop, and like, not stop, like, stop having the fear, but it's more like, awaken the fear so you can lessen the fear.
Yeah.
So awaken the fear of, I'm not worthy of making my own native food,
Yes.
versus I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah.
And now I know what to do, and that's how I started teaching myself the way to cook Indian food. Like, my mom obviously taught me, but I was still afraid to go into the kitchen. So then I'd be like, I think I know how to do this. And there's times I was like, okay, that didn't taste good, and sometimes I will have that,
Yeah.
but I needed that reoccurring, knowing that I can do better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you overcook it and you cook it for 10 minutes, you're like, next time I'm gonna half that into 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how our ancestors, and particularly my mom, I feel like maybe your mom too, but I don't want to speak for her, but like my mom, like she'd always say, like, I learned through my own experiences, and like she's messed up so much that, so she knows, like, she's an ace, and people, like, we'll have the house full of 50 people because my mom, she cooks so good, but she's been there where the water was overflowing too much. She put it too high, and like, those starchy waters everywhere, so yeah, I hear you on that.
That was a really good one, and I need to and I never had that sit down talk with Juicy where I'm just like, I'm so grateful for this, and this is how you taught me to move on from a mistake or from a flop, and also
So you never started?
I've never had this. I know she needs to know. She's gonna watch this.
Yes. This is it. This
you.
is part of it. Yeah, if you want to take a moment, you definitely can.
Thank you, and I hope to see you soon.
Yes.
And
Shout out. Like, that was a moment for DJ Tempeh to be the being that she is right now, and for us to co-create as we are. So pivotal moment, and yeah, appreciate your time and energy.
Oh my god, yeah. So those two are huge for me. Those two people. And then my genres expanded again through the people that I know, through the people that I met. So I don't know how this. I know how it happened. So one day I'm on Instagram, and so mind you, I'm still living on residence. It's my first year at York University, and I get this random person following me because I have an open page, and it says, "Wave it at York U, wave it dance, or wave it something." And I click. I'm like, "Who's Wave It Dance?" And it's like Afro beat dance classes at York University campus, and I'm like, what? And then I start seeing the posters all over my hallways. I'm like, who is this person? And then I show up to the first class. It's free classes in the yoga studio of the residence building that I live in.
Oh, I remember that.
And this girl named Samuela's there.
Okay.
And she, we were previously conversing on Instagram, and I said, I didn't even know if it was a girl or not, but I was like, I'm an Afrobeat DJ, I could bring some speakers and play some music while you guys dance. And she was like, yeah, for sure. So I show up, I have these speakers that I got from Long and McQuaid that I rented, because I didn't want her to know that I didn't have proper speakers. But the funny thing is, they forgot to give me the cable that goes with it. So I just had these useless, huge portable speakers, hurting my arm to lift up. And I brought it over, and she's like, oh, wow, you're taking this very seriously. Because she saw the nice speakers, and I was like, yeah, but I just realized I don't have the cords. And so what we did was I hooked up my laptop to this guy Thomas, who's a choreographer in the city, an African choreographer. And he had brought his portable speaker. And so we just used that. We did our first class, and it was a couple girls from campus. Thomas was the choreographer, Samuela was the instructor. And the way they moved was crazy. So athletic, so strong.
Yeah.
And Thomas had a background in, he grew up in Nigeria, and he was a DJ back home. And he was going through the list of music I had on my laptop. He was all the good stuff. And I was like, thank you, because I've been researching.
Yes.
And he loved it, yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about your research? What was that like?
So beyond Wikipedia, that was just step one.
Wikipedia is always step one.
I know, Wikipedia is step one. But you have to go further.
I have professors tell me that. They're like, just start there. Just Google that, and you'll get so many links.
Yeah.
So shout out to fucking Wikipedia.
Exactly. And so if there's one hit song, I go to that artist and I see every song that they've ever done. And usually, and the great thing about African artists is that they make a music video for everything. And they don't necessarily do like albums. Sometimes they'll just be like single, 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 and every single, they'll like bomb you with like 3 singles in 1 month. And every single has its own music video. It's so perfect. It's like made for a DJ.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
the traditional way of like putting your music out is kind of like tipped on its head, and it's just sort of like, you know what, here's your gift for February, 3 hit songs. And I get so excited, I'm like, yes, more content. So if I find, like, I found WizKid through that Drake song, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then I just typed up WizKid. Turns out he has like this whole like discography. I'm like, download. So I go by the name, then I find everything that person's ever done, listen to it. If it's like amazing,
So
I just download like crazy.
What's amazing to you? Like what would it make your list?
Amazing is like the moment you hear it, you can't stop. You have to move your hips.
Okay. Hip shaking.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
not
DJ
too
101
fast.
over here.
It's not too fast. It's a melody that like makes you feel like you're on the beach somewhere, like very tropical.
Yeah.
And lyric-wise, like using some type of like the indigenous language. So like
I thought that's what you said.
Yeah.
Iroquois. I'm like, wait, I need her to say that. I was literally gonna ask. Can you repeat what you just said?
oh no, I don't mean Iroquois. I mean, like not native,
Okay.
but native to Nigeria.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so like if they're speaking Yoruba, for example,
Okay.
they'll like mix that into their music, or from Kenya, if they're speaking Swahili, they'll throw that in with a little bit of English.
Damn.
And I love that, like the blending of the two. And yeah, like it's just a song that you can't sit still, like you have to dance. Yeah.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because you just captured your thought process and heart process through that. I just want to check how like just in regards to 7 minutes. 27 minutes. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Like just your process. You really took us to the science of how to do that. So that was really grateful. And you're giving some great starter tips for people, for beings anywhere in the world who's watching this and wanting to start and just like be a part of sharing your gift in a form of DJing. So definitely take some notes because she dropped some jewels over there. Is there anything else you want to share in regard to like DJing? Like tips more so since we're on the topic?
Definitely talk to your friends. Like if you're really into, like for me, because I'm into African music, meeting Samuela at the dance group, I remember one day she was just like on the phone, she started speaking French, and I'm like, you speak French? And she's like, yes, I've lived in Paris, I'm from Gabon, and I was introduced through her and through going to clubs with her, this whole community of French Africans in Toronto that I never really knew existed. And a lot of them love Afro trap, love Afro beats. A lot of them are DJs or promoters, and they're like taking up space, you know?
Yes. Okay. What is Afrobeats to you?
So Afrobeats was coined, pioneered by this artist / activist in Nigeria. His name is Fela Kuti. He passed away, but basically it's it kind of started as this thing called hip life from Ghana.
Okay.
And I don't want to mess up the history, so I'm just gonna gloss over it.
No,
and
just
you
whatever
can get
you know.
Yeah, you can get details off the internet. It started in Ghana, it was called hip life, but it wasn't as developed. The sound wasn't as developed as like what you're hearing now in 2019.
Okay.
So I would say hip life was very really good singers.
Okay. Like melodic. Yeah.
Like good voices. They definitely do transport you to like a tropical place, but I think more was like added, more percussion was added. He was inspired by Cuban jazz, like he was inspired by the African diaspora. He was open to everything.
Wow.
So he grew up there's like a really great interview where he said like, I grew up in a colonial school. I was raised as a colonial boy, and he wanted to go back to his roots. So he was really about breaking away from like that prim and proper like British way that was kind of pressured onto his people. And he was that guy who would perform a 15-minute song totally shirtless, and for like the conservative people it was like, what is he doing? But for him it's like, this is my indigenous culture. What's wrong with being shirtless?
Holy shit, that's so beautiful, because he bought like the roots in that way of like exposing, because it was like covering, but covering for the wrong reasons. Not like it's not that it's bad to cover, we're not saying that.
Yeah.
We're just saying like, what are you coveting in that way? And so like, in going back to like tribal experiences,
Yes.
a lot of tribal cultures, they don't like, not a lot, but a majority of the tribal cultures have this sense of like certain pattern of clothing, and like certain parts of clothing aren't there for certain reasons, whether it's weather.
Yeah,
like
weather's a huge
thing. Like in India, we can't wear tight pants. Like we need the flowy pants, we need the hammer pants, because things need to ventilate. Like that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So like the shirt part, like that's like a part of like shirtless is part of the thing.
And he even wrote this song called Gentleman about respectability politics, where he was basically saying like, for all you guys wearing 3-piece suits in this heat, you look stupid and you're sweating. You know, take it off. And he would wear his like traditional tribal makeup, like face paint. He would perform like that. Even his band, he would dress very indigenous. I believe he was Yoruba. And so he developed the hip life. Hip life was like the root.
Yeah.
And he took Cuban jazz, he took sounds from the Caribbean, he took his indigenous like percussion from his tribe, and he mixed all of that together, and that soup is Afro. And even now it's evolving. Now in France they have Afro trap.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's taking inspiration from America, African Americans who created trap music, and also Afro trap is French speaking. So it's a product of like the African French community.
Wow.
And it's this whole thing. And like now you have Afro trap artists who speak French collaborating with Afrobeat Nigerian or Ghanaian artists who speak English and their indigenous language, and doing collabs together.
And like this community is
I
coming together.
don't even know if there's a name for this, but it's like a merge.
Yeah, I feel like it's an amalgamation of the unity that was once lost, but coming together, and like also like Afro trap, like mixing in with like mainstream trap music, like English, full on English, like with rappers, African American rappers, like that. Like I see that as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like the transition is just really beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. That was like a whole bunch of like